Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Let's Rock Your English. In today's episode, I am going to be the student. And Ryan, in case you don't know Ryan, this is Ryan Gunter. This is not the first time that, he came on the show. We talked about the lyrics of the song Losing My Religion some time ago.
Yep.
He did an amazing job doing that. And he's back on the show, but this time around to teach me 10 expressions which were, say, popular back in the 80s,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
they're still used nowadays, right?
Some, yeah.
Some of them,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Some of them. Okay, so just stay tuned because we'll be right back to rock your English. Hey everyone. So, in case this is the first time you were tuning in, nice to meet you. I'm Anderson and I have my friend Ryan Gunter here today with me. All right, so if you find this video really useful by the end of it, of course, please subscribe to our channel, share this video with other friends who are improving and learning English as well, improving their English, whatever. And what else? I would say it was something else, but I completely forgot, man. I think that I'm getting old. That's why we're gonna talk about expressions from the 80s because, man, I'm aging. Anyway, but yes, like this video and subscribe to our channel. And now, without any further ado, let's dive right into these 80 expressions. Okay, so first off, man. What was it like growing up here? Growing up here in the U.S. in the 80s?
Yeah, it was a wild time, but it was a lot of fun. And it was so much fun that me and my friends from back, when we grew up at high school and college, we just loved the 80s so much, so we created a podcast about the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's more just to get together and talk about old times and talk about the 80s. And we still have our group chat that we talk about things. And when I was invited to your show here, I just pinged my friends, hey guys, just throw me out a bunch of 80s terms that we used, because I wanted something authentic that we actually used.
Oh, awesome.
And oh man, I just got inundated with all the terms, so I had to narrow it down to 10. But it was a wild time, and it was so so when MTV came out, I think that was the time, like when it was introduced. I swear we never turned the TV off from MTV.
Wow.
It was just, we kept it on, and we couldn't wait for the next music television video. That influenced, I think, the 80s so much, about the clothes we wore, the way we spoke, and of course the movies too that we watched. But it was, you see the portrayal on TV of the 80s, and it's pretty darn accurate, actually. But we went through different phases of the 80s. It wasn't all the same.
Okay, so man, and now let's just go straight to this list because I'm a little bit curious. Of course, you sent it over to me here, but I just took a look at it. But today, your role is being my teacher. Okay, so I'll be learning with you all. Okay, so let's go straight to the first one here, which is rad.
Yeah.
So
rad.
What's the definition of rad?
So rad is just another way of saying that's so cool. That's amazing.
Oh.
Yeah. And, I think it's an abbreviation of radical, which we did say
Makes
too.
sense.
Yeah,
Wow,
so that
I
is
didn't
so radical, but we mostly shortened that to rad. Everything was so rad, totally rad. And so
I never thought about that,
yeah.
man. It's interesting because in Brazil, back in the 80s, I used to go skateboarding, and some of the slang words that we used every time that, for example, a person performed very nice trick, on the skateboard, we would say, oh, that's a radical. But in Portuguese, which is radical, it's the same word.
Okay.
And so it makes total sense what you're saying. Interesting.
That was a question I had for you. Is like in Portuguese, if you use similar terms or you had your own unique 80s terms back.
Well, that's a good question. Wow, that's a very good question, man. Wow, we've got some 80 terms, but they're kind of old fashioned nowadays, so people don't use them anymore. Just like, for example, radical. Nobody uses that anymore.
Yeah.
I might be wrong.
I don't. Well,
but young kids they don't say that
not
anymore.
even in English. Yeah, they don't say rad is not a common term anymore.
Let's move on to number 2 here. Oh man, this one is a little bit tricky to me. Gnarly.
Yeah, for sure.
I was telling Ryan that I heard a lot of people. I've heard actually a lot of people use a gnarly, and he got kind of surprised because he said, "Really?
Yeah.
It might sound a little bit old-fashioned to you."
Yeah, I think it.
First off, what does that mean?
So gnarly is an interesting word because it can mean different things.
Okay.
So it can mean
That's what I figured.
I think it could have stemmed from kind of surf culture in Southern California.
Okay.
But gnarly, say you're describing a wave. It could be that wave was totally gnarly or completely gnarly, meaning it was twisted. It was kind of scary. It was, but it could also mean awesome. Like it almost depends on the intonation, because the intonation has a lot to do with some of these words.
Okay.
But you could, I mean, because gnarly in itself, and probably I think it's in the Webster Dictionary, it can mean twisted or grotesque in a way. That's probably the appropriate definition of gnarly. But it became both. It became awesome and it became twisted.
Okay, let me ask a question here about that word. Can I use it to describe the roots of a tree?
Yeah,
no?
Absolutely. I think that's where it originated, probably.
Oh, okay.
And somehow culture picks it up and makes it into something else, but also uses it accurately as well.
So you said that we can use gnarly to mean awesome, right? To mean cool. For instance, is it okay if I say something like the party was gnarly?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, really?
Yes. That was a term we used all the time. It was so gnarly, and meaning it's really cool. But it could also mean, oh man, that was crazy, like wicked.
Okay, wicked.
Yeah, gnarly. It's kind of, you can use those synonymously.
It can gnarly be difficult or no?
Yeah, I think so.
Like a gnarly situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was negotiating with this customer and I had a gnarly situation there.
That's probably a more accurate term. I think from the 80s influence, it probably kind of morphed that. Even though we used it that way, but it morphed it into something cooler, something more awesome.
By the way, you used a phrasal verb, morph into something else, which means to become, right? To transform, from one thing into something else, into something different. Awesome.
Right, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you very much. Now, number 3. Oh, I don't know how to pronounce this one. Sano?
Yeah. So
did I pronounce it correctly?
It's Sano. Is that how we say it?
Sano.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
thank you.
Sano's not a common one, and you probably don't hear that anymore.
Okay.
But it's when you describe something really cool, like say a vehicle, a car, a sports car, it's Sano. And it's kind of abbreviated for sanitary, meaning clean. So we use clean too synonymously with Sano. Like that is so clean or that is so Sano.
Now, number 4, my friend. Oh, this one, I think that people might be familiar with it, which is dude.
Dude.
I love this one.
And dude is one of those terms where intonation matters because it's a filler word almost. And it's funny because there is I think it was maybe a beer commercial back in the 80s, and it just showed all the ways you can use dude.
Dude.
So anyway, it's just the way you say dude, you can mean so many different things. And you could be elated like dude. It's intonation, but dude dude can mean so many different things. It's
Wow,
interesting.
that's interesting
Yeah.
because people normally use dude, of course, people who are learning English as a second language
Yeah.
to mean guy,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Right.
But-
That's
Yeah, but if you get surprised, you can say, dude,
dude. Yeah.
what was that?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Dude.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
I think there's a lot of words like that in the English language, maybe in Portuguese too, that you, depending on the intonation, can mean different things, or different emotions or different expressions. So,
Yeah. I think that's an event that might occur in all languages.
All languages.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, thank you. And now number 5, my friend, bogus.
Bogus. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about this one.
Yeah.
But as a slang word, what does that mean?
As a slang in the 80s, we used it as a negative connotation, like if you got an F, say on your report card.
Okay.
Oh, that's totally bogus. That's bogus.
Similar
It's
to,
like a
that
bump.
sucks.
It sucks. Exactly. That's what how we used it in the 80s. It's so bogus. So
Really?
Yeah.
The next one here, number 6, you used some time ago, and I use this one all the time. And I didn't know that it comes from the 80s, which is totally.
Totally. I use it so much. And
Me too.
but it was a filler word for sure in the 80s. That's where I mean it again. I'm not an authority on the 80s. I could have started somewhere else, but I know it was used to death in the 80s. It was used so much, but it's carried over, and like you said, it is part of my vocabulary, part of my my speak that I use now.
All right.
So many other people.
You used another expression while you were talking about that. It said it was used to death, which means overused.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So just for you guys to
Overused,
learn,
yes,
something
yes.
new here.
Yeah, overused, and it was totally. Yeah, and like I said, I throw totally out when I am agreeing with someone. Totally, like when you say something that's exactly how I use it. Totally.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%.
Okay, so the next one, number 7, is bad.
Bad, yes. Which bad, as you know it now, is not good. Right?
Okay, yeah.
The opposite, but not in the 80s.
Oh,
In the 80s, bad was good. Bad was good. It meant when you're bad,
kidding.
you're so good. You're so amazing. So
wait a second, man. One of my favorite artists is Tom Petty. I think I told you that.
Yeah.
And there's a song by Tom Petty that is called "You're So Bad."
Mm-hmm.
But do you think that he meant you're so good or you're so bad as evil?
That's a good question,
Yeah.
Anderson.
I can't recall the lyrics now.
Yeah, I know the song, but I have to think about the context he was using it in. But another example is Michael Jackson, as we talked about.
Oh,
I'm bad.
I'm bad.
That meant I'm good. I'm cool.
Oh,
So it
really?
didn't mean I'm bad, like I'm terrible. It means I'm awesome.
I'm awesome.
Yeah. I'm bad, so bad.
Uh-huh.
And we use that all the time. When you say bad, it meant
It's just
cool,
like
I was good.
sick.
Yeah, exactly.
People say, wow, man.
Yes.
Wow, that's
That's
sick.
a great example because sick and bad meant that's exactly
Yeah.
what it meant.
Yeah.
Bad meant in the 80s.
Uh-huh.
And
initially they have a negative connotation.
Yeah.
But it was twisted.
Yeah.
It was changed.
I always tease my teenagers now when they use sick. I always say, "Oh, that's so sickening." I'm like, Dad, it's not sickening. It's sick because it means something.
Oh, okay, but you do that on purpose,
I just
right?
do it on purpose to play with them. Like, Dad, no, it's sick. But anyway, but that's a great example, Anderson, because that's really what bad meant in the 80s.
Number 8, diss. Did I pronounce it correctly?
Diss. Yeah. It means you did me wrong. You dissed me. You did something bad. Something not.
How would I use it in a context then?
Yeah. So I would say, like, my friend forgot to pick me up to go to the movies. He totally dissed me.
Oh,
Yeah.
he totally dissed me.
Yeah. Or
Dissed
don't
with
diss
double
me.
S-E-D in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. Dissed me.
He dissed
That's
me.
past tense.
Do you have any idea where it originated from?
I don't. And my guess would be some
Disrespect or something like this?
Oh, you mean like the root? Yeah, like where it came from. Yeah, probably disrespect. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. It's probably short for disrespect.
Wow,
Yeah.
he dissed me.
And I'm sure it was used in some movie in the 80s that, and then it caught on, or, some pop culture song or movie that.
Is it still used nowadays, or you don't think so?
No, I don't use it that much. And yeah, I don't think so. It's not one that's common anymore, for sure.
And number 9, now we have harsh.
Harsh.
I know the meaning of harsh, but the original meaning of harsh, which can be, difficult, or
yeah,
or
yep. And that's really what it meant. How we used
strict
it in the 80s.
as well. Like, you were harsh, and right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so that that was something we definitely used harsh a lot. Like, if something happened that was bad, or when I say bad, I mean like really bad.
Bad,
Not,
bad.
Not the 80s bad. But if something was, it made you feel bad, it would be harsh. It's like someone you're on a date, or someone, or say you asked a girl on a date and she said no, flat out no. Oh, that was harsh. That was totally harsh. And it seems like we put in the prefix before the word totally. Seems like we use totally a lot before we used one of these other words.
Okay.
It was very common to use that. But harsh, I think the meaning was the same. Mm-hmm. It wasn't one of these changed meanings, but it was a word that we used a lot.
Okay.
Sure.
The last one. I heard this, actually, every time I hear this one here, I'm reminded of a song by, oh my goodness. You see, my memory
I
is
know
no
who you're
more.
thinking of too.
Valley Girl.
Yeah.
Valley Girl.
Yeah.
Frank Zappa.
Frank Zappa.
Oh,
There you go.
yeah.
Frank Zappa. And that's where his daughter was recorded in that.
Exactly, yeah.
And she recorded a lot of those terms with her Valley speak.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, what does Valley Girl mean?
That came up, and I can't remember exactly. Was it whether it was a movie or not, or maybe just music? But it started in suburbs of L.A.
L.A., yeah.
Yeah,
Los
Southern
Angeles,
California,
right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was San Fernando Valley. I can't remember.
Yeah,
One of those valleys.
Encino, right?
Yeah, those areas.
Mm-hmm.
And so upper middle class females that had this specific California talk.
Exactly.
And it really caught on and moved outside of California and it became an 80s kind of dialect almost, and with unique phrases, and but not so much. It was more female, or like. Yeah. I never said "gag me with a spoon." I never said these valley speak things, but I think there was some overlap definitely with Southern California surfer language. There might have been some overlap there, but it was something that a very common dialect, or common, I don't know if you want to call it dialect, but it was a very common phrases that you're used to hearing in the 80s, even if you didn't use them.
Okay. Gag me with a spoon. Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
I think it just means gross, like, oh, gag me with a spoon. Like they have that. And it's not just the words, it's the way they say it, the intonation, the high pitch, the high kind pitch, of nasally sound. It's all it's all part of that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's the nasal sound.
Yeah. Gag me with a spoon, that kind of thing. And so that, I think it just means like, oh, gross.
The next one here, I don't know if, actually, I don't know the right pronunciation. Grody?
Grody, yeah.
Yeah, Grody to the max.
Grody to the max. And
What does that mean? Grody to the
that's
max.
kind of, I think that's very similar, to Gag Me with a Spoon.
Okay.
Grody, that's just awful.
Grody to the max.
It's funny how the Valley Girl, there's a lot of these negative phrases that they use, like like turning their nose up on every. Oh,
Okay,
gross.
but they
Grody
okay,
to
so
max.
they use these phrases here when they're disgusted. Then
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Yeah, and I'd have to think of more, but I'm trying to think of more that if there were any positive Valley Girls speaks about. But anyway, those are the two that stood out to me.
but that's interesting.
for sure. Yeah.
Thank you very much for hanging out with us, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and to like the video and share this video with other people so that they can be better educated in English as well. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.
All right. Totally.